What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the JuiceBox. Munz here today, and we are going to be going over the second round of the 2025 NHL Stanley Cup Playoffs. But before we do that, I just want to remind everyone that you can join our premium tier Discord at wap.com/lockcity for only $5 per month. This will get you access to every cheat sheet every day across all active major sports, access to premium picks, tons of sports-specific and stat-specific data points on a daily basis to help you become a better sports bettor. That's wap.com/lockcity. Get instant access for only 16 cents a day. Additionally, as you all already should know, if you want some of the best odds in the industry, we suggest you check out thunderpick.io. You can use our promo link tinyurl.com/lcthunder to get a 100% deposit bonus up to $600 on your first deposit. They accept majority of major cryptocurrencies, and you can now deposit using credit card or Visa debit. All right, enough of that. Let's hang out here for a bit. As I said, we're going to be going over the second round of the 2025 Stanley Cup Playoffs. To give a bit of a recap of the first round, Toronto beat Ottawa 4-2, Washington beat Montreal 4-1, Carolina beat New Jersey 4-1, Vegas beat Minnesota 4-2, Edmonton beat LA 4-2, Florida beat Tampa 4-1, Dallas beat Colorado 4-3. And at the time of recording this, St. Louis and Winnipeg are currently tied 3-3 going into Game 7 Sunday, which is today when I'm recording, at about 7:10 p.m. Eastern Time. Let's talk about that series for a little bit before we move on here. St. Louis looked terrible in Game 1, losing that game pretty badly. After that, they really shaped up. They're looking very, very good. They're pushing the Game 7, and on the other hand, you have Winnipeg, who's not looking that good at all. Goaltending was looking shaky, and even when goaltending started to shape up, defense and offense were not looking great. I believe it was Game 6 or Game 5, the post-interview with the coach of Winnipeg. He was saying this was not on the goalie this game, these losses so far. That loss. It was on the players in front of him. They were imploding right in front of him, and he's kind of right. But the goaltending still looks shaky. This one, as I said, is going into Game 7 tonight in Winnipeg. It's the first Game 7 that Winnipeg has had at home since, I believe, 1977. It's been so long because Winnipeg wasn't a team for a while, for all of my hockey noobs out there that are listening. Yeah, the pressure's on them. The pressure's definitely on them. They're a bit of first-round choke artists. They kind of look like the Maple Leafs of the West, constantly choking in the first round, blowing these series leads. You know, they finished the season being the first in the league. They were going back and forth with Washington, leading the league there. But yeah, the President's Trophy's curse is alive and well with Winnipeg. It's not looking good for them. And although they have home ice advantage with the whiteout in the crowd with all the fans wearing white, tensions are high. The nerves can be high for St. Louis, especially playing against that kind of crowd. But I think they're going to stay strong. I think they're going to stay consistent with how they have been lately. I think they're going to close out that series tonight in Game 7. Okay. Let's look at the next round here. Let me just take a sip of water. So, in the second round, our matchups are Florida versus Toronto, Carolina versus Washington, Edmonton versus Las Vegas, and Dallas versus the winner of St. Louis or Winnipeg. So, first off, Monday, Florida is playing Toronto. Toronto has home ice advantage in that series, and they're the underdogs to win that series at plus 146. Florida is minus 176. So, Florida had a bit of a mid-regular season, considering being defending Stanley Cup champions. Yeah, they looked very, very mid, in my opinion. But coming into these playoffs, they look like a completely new team. And as I said before, regular season stats kind of go out the window when playoffs start. You know, the regular season just completely goes out the window. The playoffs are a completely new season, and Florida kind of proved that. They took out Tampa Bay 4-1 in that series, and Tampa Bay was looking like an absolute powerhouse of a team. A lot of really bad missed calls in that. But Florida looks great. You know, they reacquired Matthew Tkachuk. They had Aaron Ekblad back for a couple games before he got suspended for 2. I think he still has one more game to serve on that suspension. The guy's looking like he just wants to fight people the way he's elbowing them. I don't know what's going through his head, what he's doing, what he's on, but it is what it is. Like I said, Florida's they're looking really good. They're looking like the team that won the Stanley Cup last year, and rightfully so. They got to defend it, right? They got to defend it. They're going for a back-to-back run here, but going up against Toronto, I don't know. It's going to be a bit of a challenge for them, definitely. I am a Leafs fan, so this might sound a little biased. I'll try not to, but here we go. So Toronto gave us a bit of a scare against Ottawa in a few games. They showed glimpses of their usual tendencies as an organization. Matthews was a bit quiet starting off. Marner and Tavares, Nyes, they really pushed. They really pushed offensively. They were looking really good. Nylander was, I believe, he had a goal in game 1 or 2, and then he kind of quieted down. And like I said, Matthews was a bit quiet to start. But they picked up, they really picked up, especially in the game where it mattered to close out the series. After that 4-0 shutout, they came back in that next game. Nylander had 2 goals. Matthews had a goal. And if things keep trending the way that they are for them, I think they have a really high chance at winning this series. They look like a completely new Toronto team coming into these playoffs. Even all season long, they look like a different team. And it's honestly, I like it. I love the way that they've been playing. I don't really have too many complaints. Goaltending has been great. Offensive has been great. Defense can tighten up a little bit. We need Morgan Rielly to stop drawing a couple bad penalties. But other than that, I really like the way that this Toronto team has shaped up all season long and coming into the playoffs. If they can just keep these tendencies and this trend going and not fall into those usual ways that they do while playing Florida, I don't think history is going to repeat itself in this one. I can't take Florida. I'm going with the Leafs to win this one at plus 146. I'm a Leafs fan through and through since the day I was born. I cannot turn up on my boys like that. So I'm going with the Leafs. Go Leafs, go. They're going to take that one. I can see that one going 6 or 7 games 100%. But I think Toronto's going to end up on top. All right, let's calm the nerves here. No more talking about that series. It just makes me so nervous. Let's move on to Carolina and Washington. So Carolina had New Jersey in the first round. A couple of few high scoring games in that one. It kind of showed. Sorry, they kind of gave New Jersey glimpses of hope that they could come back in that series, but ultimately taking them out 4-1, they kind of dominated them. Carolina is a very strong team. As you guys know, they have my favorite goaltender in Frederik Andersen. Their backup, I can't even really call him a backup, even though he technically is, but the guy's just so good. He could be a starter as well. Great goaltending on both ends there. Defense is good. Offense is young, hungry, and talented. Yeah, this is going to be a very close series. Washington, we already know about Washington. You got the all-time leading goal scorer in Alex Ovechkin, and this team just, the vibes are good. The chemistry is good. We see videos of them all the time, just getting along so well. And that's not to say the other teams aren't as well, but just the vibes in Washington this season with Ovi breaking the record and just everything at stake, how well that they're doing, just the vibes are just immaculate over there, to say the least. I love Alex Ovechkin. I'm an old man, almost 30 years old. Obviously, I love Alex Ovechkin. I grew up watching the guy. They're just a very strong team, a very strong team. They looked a little bit shaky against Montreal in a few games, but in the end, they closed it out, extending the leads in those games, showing why they're the better team and why they finished second and most likely could have finished first in the league this season. They're hungry. They want to win it, especially for Obi. Having those 2 accolades of beating the goal scoring record and winning the cup in a single season would just be absolutely beautiful for him, and two really great milestones to even retire on. So that's definitely something that they're thinking about over there. Washington has the home ice advantage. They're coming in as the underdogs to win this series at plus 136. Carolina's coming in at the favorite at minus 164. I think those odds should be closer. Looking at that, they're kind of thinking this is going to go 5 or 6 games. I think the opposite. I think it's going to go 6 or 7. And I think the opposite of the odds. I think Washington is going to end up taking this one. I think that they have more veteran presence. They're a lot more of a physical team, throwing the body around to assert their dominance over them physically and over the puck. It's not to say that Carolina can't get it done. They're a very high-paced team. They seem to be a lot younger than Washington. But I think that veteran experience is going to come through in Washington to help lead those young guys to kind of push through and give them that playoff experience that they don't have, kind of rub off on them and push through to close out this series. I'm going to take Washington to win this one, definitely in 6 or 7 games, most likely 6. Most likely 6. All right, let's switch over to the Western Conference. We'll start with the series that actually has the 2 teams established. Edmonton versus Las Vegas. Las Vegas holds the home ice advantage in this one. They are minus 105 to win, slight underdogs. Edmonton's coming in at minus 114. Edmonton is plus 100 to win that game on the road against Vegas. They're coming in at minus 120. So let's talk about Edmonton for a little bit here. Edmonton, had a bit of a shakier regular season than what was expected from them, especially coming into the playoffs. There was a lot of controversy and talk about them walking around all bruised and battered. They said that would be that's the opposite. And although they lost 2 games to LA, kind of not showing the opposite in that, they really shaped up. They really shaped up coming back to close out that series and repeating history, just absolutely dominating LA, I believe, for the 4th time now in the first round. Yeah, I mean, they had goaltending issues to start. Evan Bouchard wasn't looking great. Things were just not going well when he was on the ice. Stuart Skinner couldn't stop a beach ball to save the life of him. It was just not looking good for Edmonton. I really thought that LA was going to end up closing up that series in either 4 or 5 games, but I was proven wrong. Edmonton switched up the goaltending. They tightened up on defense. The offense kept producing as they were. Those were high-scoring games against LA on both ends. They just shaped up to show. They shaped up to show that they're still the Edmonton team that they were last season to push for a Stanley Cup chance to go to the Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, yeah, I kind of feel like an idiot. I feel like a bit of an idiot thinking that they weren't going to shape up. I mean, things were just not looking good for them. I didn't even think that them switching goaltenders was really going to be that big of a difference, but I was proven wrong. They've showed the reasons why they were a Stanley Cup contender last season, why they pushed a Game 7 last season in the Stanley Cup Finals. Yeah, they got a chip on their shoulders. They got something to prove. They're going to be coming into this series strong. Looking at Vegas, still a very strong team. I personally thought Minnesota was going to end up closing out that series. I had Vegas to win that series in the first podcast. I had that on my futures parlay for the first series. But as that series went on, I did think that Minnesota was going to shape up a bit more to come back and beat them. They were looking really good. They were scoring a lot of goals against Vegas, looking good defensively, producing offensively. But in the end, Vegas did beat them 4-2. Moving on, I don't think that Vegas is going to be able to stand up against Edmonton for too long. I know they have home ice advantage, but just the way that things have been going for Edmonton, momentum is just high on their side. The vibes are high. The energy is high. It's not to say that it might not be the same for Vegas, but on paper, I just see them being a stronger team. If the goaltending can stay up, they can definitely get it done. Like I said, 105 to minus 114, Vegas and Oilers respectively to win the series. Very, very close in odds, and rightfully so. This is definitely going to be a 7-game series unless Edmonton just absolutely implodes on defense and goaltending, which can definitely happen. It can definitely happen, especially if they decide to put Stewart in net, but I don't think that will happen just from the way that Picard has been playing. I don't think that they'll do that to him and kind of just kill his whole emotions and feelings, but yeah, it's going to be a close series. It's going to go 7 games. I think I'm going to take Edmonton to win that one as a slight favorite at minus 114. But it truly can go either way. But I think that they're the stronger team on paper and when it matters, when the puck is dropped. So I'm going to stick with Edmonton to win that one in 7 games. Okay. The last series that we have, it's still not fully established, but we can still talk about it. Dallas versus St. Louis or Winnipeg. So I thought Dallas was going to lose against Colorado in 4 to 6 games. I was proven wrong. A Game 7 was pushed. And even in that Game 7, I thought that they were going to end up losing. But I was proven wrong. That own goal in Game 6 really, really hurt. I thought that absolutely killed the morale over there. I thought that they were going to be really in their heads in Game 7, but no, that wasn't the case. They came out. Mikko Rantanen had a hat trick. they dominated. They absolutely dominated. Colorado they did not look like the Colorado team that they usually do in the playoffs, especially after getting Gabriel Landeskog back on the roster after the long-term injuries and recovery that he was facing. It's upsetting. It's really disappointing. You thought it's a team that you thought was going to put in more heart, more passion, but it just did not look like that at all, especially in the last few games. But yeah, Dallas really shaped up. Mikko Rantanen seems to be in his groove for the playoffs. He has 12 points in I think the past 4 games since he started producing in the playoffs. So momentum and vibes are really, really high over there. It's going to be hard to bring them down. They're a strong team all season long. Strong team coming into the playoffs. And although they looked a bit shaky to start, they shaped up and they showed us why. They showed us why they made the playoffs. Honestly, they're a strong team. Can't take anything away from them there. St. Louis and Winnipeg. So we spoke about that a bit at the start. We have St. Louis as a choke artist there. Or sorry, not St. Louis, Winnipeg. Winnipeg is the first round choke artist there. I think St. Louis is going to close out that series tonight on the road. But regardless, either way that series goes, I see Dallas beating either of those teams, just from the way that they've both been performing in the first round. St. Louis does look stronger compared to the first 2 games of the series, but I think they're looking as strong as they can, and I don't think that's strong enough for Dallas, especially with how they look coming out of that Colorado series. If we look at the odds here, if Winnipeg wins, Dallas is a minus 164 favorite. Winnipeg will be plus 136. If St. Louis wins, Dallas is a minus 260 favorite, with St. Louis being plus 210. So the odds reflect my prediction. Do I see it going Game 7? No. Do I see it going Game 6? Against either of these teams? Maybe. Slight chance. Do I see it going 5 games? Definitely. Do I see a sweep? Potentially, but I think St. Louis or Winnipeg are capable of stealing at least 1 game from Dallas, and this will go most likely 5 games. Slight chance of it going 6, but Dallas winning. Either way, either team, Dallas is winning. All right, so that's it. That's it for that. Just to give a little bit of a recap here, we have the Leafs beating the Panthers. We have the Capitals beating the Hurricanes. We have the Oilers beating the Golden Knights. And we have the Stars beating either St. Louis or Winnipeg. I have St. Louis right now on my bet slip. I'll wait until tomorrow, until the results are out, until we know who they're going to be facing in that series to place this. But Dallas Stars, like I said, regardless of which team they play, it's going to be the Dallas Stars. All right, guys, that's it for me today. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day and your week. Good luck with all your bets. And like I said, if you aren't already, you can join our premium tier Discord for only $5 a month to get access to all of our cheat sheets every single day and access to all of our premium picks for all 9 of our pro cappers. That's wop.com/LockCity. You can't get much for 16 cents a day, but you can get Lock City. Take care, everyone. And like I said, good luck. See you in the next one.